as a kid in a Hispanic Japanese type of home, I've always been interested in Japanese more, to be honest, because I thought it was like way more cooler and stuff. So like the anime, yeah, mostly the anime, maybe the food. I love sushi. And definitely the food and anime, and definitely the style. If you guys look up like Asian like fashion stuff, they got so much style. So like I kind of want to replicate that. I even got like a whole happy jacket type of thing. And so yeah. And that's basically the whole reason I'm trying to learn a language. Okay. So that's basically like the whole reason I'm trying to learn Japanese is my primary language I'm trying to learn. And to do that, we're going to talk about this one way that we can learn a language. So we'll talk about this video I watched, which is by What I've Learned, and he talks about the concept of comprehensible input and be able to acquire a language through context. And yeah, that's like the whole method. So basically comprehensible input is, so let's say you have your target language and you put an image. So let's say you have an apple, right? And then there's like an image of an apple, and in the native language you're trying to learn, they say it in that language. So you kind of just assume this is what they're saying, is this thing. So like an apple is ringo, right? And that's basically, that's basically the gist of it. So in the video, he gives an example of a dude named Crashin. I think he's like this sciencey dude, and yeah, he's very knowledgeable about learning a language. Crashin believes that to learn a language, you only have to be dependent on the language acquisition and not learning the language. And basically what he means by this is, let's see, how can I? So like learning the language is basically the grammar, the rules, the vocabulary, the written stuff, and like all the rules and stuff. That's learning the language. But if we learn a language by acquisition, it's basically getting the language through context. So like a baby, like an infant, right? They kind of just, their brain, what they're doing is literally just analyzing upon analyzing the world around them. And whatever language those people are speaking in that community, that baby is gonna just input that and like output it. So like inputs all that info, right? All that data inside the brain, and then just kind of like meshing it together, right? It's kind of like meshing it together, and the result of that is him speaking the language. So like making it super easy, or making it look easy. Yeah, that's what I meant. And yeah, that's like the difference between acquisition learning and just learning the language itself. And the oh shit. Okay. I didn't really. Oh, I guess it makes sense. Okay. So now that we know that the brain, the brain analyzes all the things and inputs it, and Actually, the brain has this system where it can naturally seek out patterns in a language to understand it. With an image, which is like the context and the learning and the language associated with that image, your brain will be able to pick it up on signs to better help for understanding the language based on the context. This other person named Barbara Oakley, an engineering professor, says we have two modes. We have the focus mode and the diffuse mode. And so the focus mode is just basically where the brain is active when trying to learn or when trying to interpret something. For example, a math problem or watching TV in a foreign language. And the focus mode, which is basically where the brain is active when trying to interpret something. For example, a math problem or watching TV in a foreign language. And the diffuse mode is where the brain is more relaxed and can make connections between things far easier than in the focus mode. And it's kind of like getting a joke. So like, let's say your friend says a joke and you laugh because your brain made that connection automatically and thus it was funny. But if you didn't get the joke, you had to like focus. You had to focus on trying to pick out which specific things that would make it funny. And usually we don't really get it. Oh my god. I need a better chair. Okay. However, this doesn't mean using a dictionary is bad or trying to learn a bunch of vocab of a foreign language. But once we learn the vocab through a dictionary, we wouldn't have made that connection to the thing we are learning. For example, in ringo, if you don't know Japanese, you wouldn't have known what this meant. However, if I put an image of an apple, the example is coming up again. So if we put an image of an apple, which is the context, your brain will assume ringo means apple in Japanese, right? And a good method for this is to watch the foreign language you're learning without any subtitles, and that the subtitles should also be in your targeted language. Another part of Krashen's theory is that speaking is not necessarily learning, and that actually you can understand a language without ever speaking. However, not speaking the language at all, it will just make you gotta eventually learn how to pronounce the stuff. Like, you can't be like arigato or something like that, or like you gotta learn the pronunciation at some point. So now we're gonna talk about some methods he mentions. So we're gonna call it. It's called the shadowing method. Listen to something when a native is speaking and just try to pronounce the sounds and mimic the natives who speak it. So if we're learning Japanese, right, you will probably either use Japanese drama, Japanese pop songs, anime. So in this example, we're probably just gonna use anime because we like it, and maybe some, right? So we're gonna use anime. So ideally, you just want to watch the anime with no subtitles, and if the site you're watching anime on has the Japanese like subtitles, so like the actual letters in Japanese, which is great. You could just watch the anime in Japanese subtitles, and then once you and then you try and then you just try to pick it out like as best as you can, even if you can't understand it, because of the images going across the screen. Your brain will kind of pick it out one by one. it won't be a quick process, but if you keep on continuing it, it will be worth it. Trust that your brain, yeah, trust is probably the most important thing in this journey. So you just gotta trust the process, trust in your brain, like its patterns, like its ability to see the patterns in a language, and you could just just all of a sudden like know it. And a good thing is also, so we just overload your brain with input. So so let's say like a book. So let's say this book was in Japanese. I will try to read it as best as I can, even though I don't know what anything that means. And then is like write stuff down in the book and just pick it out. Be like, oh, this means that, or this means that. Ideally, you don't want to do anything in English, because then you're gonna associate that thing with the English word, which means that. So you want to have only the Japanese native word, or the sound, right? And have it linked to this object and not the English word. Only like vocabulary stuff maybe is a good way. And then restate the points. So restate the points if acquire language through context. Maximize the input and listen and pronounce. And that's it for today's video, and that's what I've done so far to try to learn Japanese. Then actually it has been working. Slowly but surely it has been working. I just wish I had something to like, I wish I had the Japanese subtitles so then I could learn the grammar. But then I'm not disciplining myself into like just learn the grammar, the basic stuff. And yeah, because I could use other methods to learn the grammar as well. Okay, besides the point, that's the end of the video. Let me know if I missed any details or interesting points you guys have. And see you later.